Hey, middle-aged gamers, welcome back. It is cold or very cold, depending where you live in the world, or just very hot if you're in the southern hemisphere. We have some very hot stories to talk about today. Adam, why don't you just roll us off with story number one?
Sure, I'll start us off with the story number one. Let me just pull up all this stuff here. All right, so Monster Hunter is returning for its what do you call it? The player test. So we had one a few, I guess it was a couple months ago or last month or whatever, and it was so successful that they decided to do another beta test. Not just one, actually. They're actually doing two new beta tests. So the first one's going to be from February 6th to February 9th, and then the second one's going to be the following week from February 13th to February 16th. So those are running from Thursday to Sunday, so 2 weeks in a row. So you can go on, you can get on at any time during those beta tests, and it's basically going to be the same as the last one. You're going to be in the same zone. You're going to be fighting the same monsters. You're going to be doing the same hunts, except they are also adding a new hunt for, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but the Gypceros, I'm not quite sure. But they are adding that as a new hunt. So that's another hunt that you're going to be able to do and try out. And they say that they are also adding other content that will be revealed at a later date. So we do still have a little less than a month to go. So they're going to add some new stuff there. So we'll see. I'm personally really hoping that they allow at least some gear upgrading. Because as it is, there is only you can get three sets of armor, and then they had basically one set of weapons um, for each weapon. So personally, I'd like to see at least some crafting introduced, so we can get kind of a feel for that. We'll see how that goes, though. I'm not crossing my fingers on it. But if you do these new beta tests, if you did the previous beta test, it won't count. But if you do either of these next two beta tests, and you can do both if you want, then you will be getting a open beta test bonus pendant, which is kind of this little calico plushie. Um, or sorry, Palico, not Calico. Calico is a kind of cat. Palico is also a kind of cat, but a different kind of cat. It's a little Palico plushie thing. It shows that it's kind of strapped onto the hunter's back, so I'm not sure if it's strapped onto the hunter themselves or if it's strapped onto the weapon. It looks like it's a little accessory that's strapped onto the weapon, but not quite sure. You can only get one per account, though, so if you have multiple characters, then only one character will be able to have it. You will also be getting some in-game items. You'll be getting 10 raw meats, 3 shock traps, 3 pitfall traps, 10 trank bombs, 3 large barrel bombs, 5 armor spheres, 10 flash pods, and 10 large dung pods. So if you do either of these upcoming two beta tests, you'll be getting all of those when you do finally get into the main game, assuming you do buy the main game. But your account must be on the same platform. So you can't basically test it out on PC and then play on PS5 or test it out on Xbox and then play on PC. Can't do that. It has to be on the same platform. So wherever you're playing the beta, that's where you're going to have to play the main game if you want these items. Although I don't see there's anything stopping you from playing the beta on more than one system, so that's definitely an option as well. And you only need to participate in one of the two new open beta sessions. So either the February 6th to 9th one or the February 13th to the 16th one. So if you participate in either one of those, you'll be getting all those items. However, there are things that we definitely will not see. So it turns out that after the first beta test, then people were making comments on things that could be improved. They were giving feedback, and Capcom has heard that feedback, and they say it says our entire development team is hard at work reviewing your valuable feedback and focusing on improving the full version of the game. However, please bear in mind that these improvements, including performance, game balance, weapon mechanics, known issues, and more, will not be reflected in the open beta test 2 build. So if you were like me and you noticed that the game was either running really blurry or really choppy, then that will not be addressed in this open beta. However, they say we have heard you, and that will be addressed for the final product. You just won't be able to see any of that here. So, so if you're looking forward to trying out Monster Hunter, if you didn't get a chance before and you want to try it out, or if you did get a chance before but you want to try it out again, which I might do, I'm not quite sure. Then go ahead and check out these two things. I really enjoyed my time with the first one. I'm still on the fence as to whether I want to get the game or not. As far as gameplay, I really enjoyed it. I really had fun. My only concern is that I don't know anybody who else who's playing, and I'm not entirely sure I want to be playing this game solo or entirely with randoms. So we'll wait and see if I'll play it again probably. If I'm really enjoying it, then I'll probably just pick it up and be like, okay, fine, I'll solo it if I have to, and sign up for group quests when I need it. But we'll have to wait and see because there's a lot coming up. I still need to finish Nine Souls, which I'm pretty close to the end, I think, and then I've got was it Freedom Wars and Sin Duality. And then once I get those two out of the way, I'm pretty set until I guess Death Stranding 2 comes out. But we'll have to wait and see. So, yep, open betas, lots of fun, lots of people joining it. See you there if you're joining in. Go ahead and look for me. But yeah, name's 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦, same as it is everywhere else. So, yeah.
Antoine, you're not joining Adam with Monster Hunter?
I love Monster Hunter as a franchise. It's a really good game, and I don't think they had any issues, at the day one of the game. So it's usually they're pretty well prepared. Always fun games. I didn't play the two on Switch, where I think I heard fantastic reviews on it. So I know it's gonna be a good game. It's just that I spent so many hours on the world. I just can't do that again. I know that if like it's you get sucked into this whirlpool of Monster Hunter, and then you just can't get out. You're just gonna end up playing way too much and put way too much hours into it. So maybe one day, but not this year.
All right, and on that note, Antoine, why don't you lead us into your second story, whichever one you want to start off with first?
Yes, so we often talk about how franchise try to reinvent themselves, to try to attract new public and everything. And the game I'm gonna talk about right now do not do that at all. They they just know how to do one thing. They have their own mechanics, and they never change it, and it still works. It's Sniper Elite, in this case, Sniper Elite Resistance, right? And I was looking on Steam, so what do we have new here? So if you ever played Sniper Elite, you will recognize everything. So they're trying to sell the game, like offering unparalleled sniping techniques, stealth, and tactical third-person combat. Yeah, so that's a Sniper Elite. Yeah, one not lost here. You're gonna have the same side quest as usual, meaning finding workbench to tinker with your rifle. You will have a multiple kill list target. Of course, you have different kind of infiltration and extraction points, so you basically need to explore the map. You have lots of little objectives based on your own playstyle. Of course, you have the trademark X-ray kill cam, of course, because the whole game is based on this. I really like this game because for me it's really like returning to Hitman, in the fact that you can choose whatever you want. In the best of world, you know your map, you analyze, the weak points, you try to be very stealthy, you're a sniper, kill just the right people, extract, and everything's great. Except that you choose to you want to choose to do a big massacre and wipe out the whole map. You can that's yeah, that's why I really like this kind of game. It's easy to understand, it's really easy to play, and you really feel good, after playing it. So in this very case, Resistance, so of course you can play it on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox X, and Series S. Still the same engine, it looks exactly like Sniper Elite 5, they didn't change anything on that front. It's $65 on Steam, Canadian. And if you pre-order it now, you will get a campaign mission. Actually, I don't think they did that campaign mission on pre-order before, but you will have a Targetführer Light Camera Achtung with my super nice German accent. You will have a weapon skin. You will have a new rifle, which is a Karabiner 98. And if you order it, you will have 2 days of early access. Oh, and also the M1911 pistol. So just a bunch of little goodies. Usually there's like, what, 4, 5 chapters in a Sniper Elite. So the fact that they add, this extra campaign mission in the pre-order is actually very good value. It's actually very, very good value. If you played Sniper Elite 5, that's the first time in the franchise you actually don't play whatever his name was, but you always play the same British operative, and in this case you will play another guy because it's exactly at the same time frame as Sniper Elite 5. And it's called Resistance because you will assist the French resistance who heard rumors about. So just to set up, you're in 1994. Americans are already in France. It's not the end of the war, but the beginning of the end for the German. Right, they are losing France, and there's rumors collected by the French resistance that there's this secret weapon which can turn over the tide of war, and you're here to check that rumor out. And knowing it's a sniper elite, of course it's gonna be a big massive secret weapon which is worth destroying in the end. So it's always a very fun game to play. It's coming out, I don't think I can say that, but it's coming out on January 30th. If like me you're on the Game Pass, it's free, which is why I'm on Game Pass, PC Game Pass of course. What else did I note? Anything else? Well, just to give you the synopsis, in a gripping new story that runs parallel with Sniper Elite 5, Harry Hawker, an agent of the Special Operations Executive (SOE), takes the lead for the first time as he discovers an insidious new Wunderwaffe, something so powerful it guarantees the Nazis will win the war. So exactly what I just said before. I just wanted to flaunt my German accent. Um, and yeah, that's basically that should be a solo game. At least that's how I'm gonna enjoy it. Of course, you have this multiplayer competitive 16-man battles, 16-player battles, where you can earn XP, ribbons, medals, extra. And if you are like me, you don't like this kind of multiplayer, you can play. I wanted to say kind of Helldiver, but like in a team with other 3 players, so a 4-man team, against waves of enemies in a survival mode. I'm not a big fan of survival mode because that means that you always lose in the end. That's why I always hated survival. But yeah, so that's. Honestly, I was surprised that it's coming out because nobody talked about it. It's a well known franchise, and usually they have some very positive reviews. They are not reinventing anything, as I said. If you play one Sniper Elite, you play them all, but it's always a bunch of fun. So you know what? It's never very long, right? If you don't play all the missions and everything, I mean, you can finish the game in what 10, 15 hours, and if you're a completionist, 30 hours, something like this. It's never a very long game, so always very fun to play. If you don't know Sniper Elite, I very recommend it to you. Just the fact that you can play the whole map stealthily is incredibly fun, like rewarding. You really feel good when you just kill exactly your target and that's it, and nobody's the wiser that you were here. Of course, vas-y, passe. Bye bye. There's you will be looking for a little yellow box with a big red button because as soon as a German see you, they will push on the alarm, and then it's a never-ending flow of reinforcement coming at you. But yeah, extremely fun game. That's what I recommend for playing in February before Valentine's, because of course it's gonna be all about romance, as we'll see on the channel in February. I know that Korean really liked Sniper Elite before. I don't think he plans to play this one. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, as I mentioned on earlier shows, like I've only 2 games this year. One for sure is Loud, which I've already started making videos for, on the way to making a second video. The second one, I thought I was gonna play the next Atelier game, but that's in March. It's too soon. So I'm gonna probably gonna cover a game called The Altars, and there's one other game I can't remember what it is, but something sort of like middle of the year, like summertime, 2025. I just need to decide what that game is, and then that's it. And then I'm just gonna be playing all the old stuff on my account. Adams, I don't think you're gonna be playing Sniper Elite.
No, I enjoyed my time with the last one, but yeah, with everything else, it's not a high priority. I mean, if I had nothing else to play, yeah, I'd play it, but I have other things to play, so not a high
See,
priority for me. I did enjoy my time with it though.
In terms of easy kind of video content that I was thinking of, it's typically the kind of game where you can record your gameplay and after put like a 5 minutes clip of where to find that objective or how to complete this, or like the little tips and tricks videos which always works, but you need to play that very quick before everybody else. That's always the issue. But who knows, if I play it on time, maybe I can try that.
Yeah, until we start
That would
getting
be
those early
nice.
access codes.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna pre-order it on time. It's free on Game Pass.
I mean, that's why I pre-ordered Avowed, just so I can start playing 4 days earlier on February 14th.
Nice.
Yeah, for the first time. Let's see how if that's actually worth it or not. Moving on to my first story for today, the game called Wonderstop. Did you love the Stanley Parable? Because I just know how famous the game is. I don't know too much beyond that. Well, one of the developers, Davey Reedon, is making a cozy game. And I know, according to YouTube Analytics, you guys are looking for like what are the upcoming cozy games for 2025. And there's a lot of articles. There's a lot of games coming out this year. I decided to choose this one just because it looks nice. It has lots of purples and greens and whites and very bright colors. Reminds me of Disney's Dreamlight Valley. And I just realized after playing Coral Island, I don't want to go back to playing like pixel art, cozy, relaxing games, which is why I chose Wonderstop. So it's coming out in less than 2 months. I would have probably played this if I wasn't playing Avowed, because again, this is coming out in March. And I imagine Avowed, given that I play an hour a day and sometimes not on the weekends, is probably going to take me longer than 2 months to finish. So I can't play anything in March. Um, as of the time of me researching the story, there's no price at the moment. It sort of reminds me of a game like Potionomics, right? And that's a game where, you know, I guess sort of similar to Stardew Valley or Coral Island, you go to a place like, hey, you're now in charge of running this business. And Potionomics, you were running a potion shop. In Wonderstop, you're making tea for people. And if you're looking at the video, it has a sort of like elaborate mechanism of making tea. And of course, with making tea, you can imagine the connecting mechanics of going out into the wild, collecting herbs and spices and that sort of stuff. Um, and they also mention like an interesting fact. You're trying to make the right tea for the right person. So there was a story game like we were like a bartender, and they had like a sort of like a similar thing, making the right drink for the right person, right? So they sort of emphasize the dialogue here, where speaking to someone like, okay, this person is stressed, or this person is angry, or this person is blah blah. He probably needs to have some chamomile tea for sleeping or something like that. Whatever the equivalent is in game for this sort of stuff. And of course, there's the usual stuff where you run a store, right? You get to decorate it, you get to unlock furniture, you get to put stuff here, there, and everywhere. Um, so it's very much similar to that sort of way. And there's also an underlying question as well, right? Is this person who's running this store, the shop in Wonderstop, right? Um, is used to be a warrior, right? And the question is, how do you be something else if all you've ever been in life is one thing, right? That's if you go all the way down to the bottom of the Steam page, they talk about this. And I thought that was an interesting question, right? Given where the world is heading, I mean, given that, sorry to go negative, right, is that they say like 40% of employers say they're going to downsize their workforces by 2030 because there's going to have AI agents to run it. Meta even said they're going to get rid of mid-level engineers and have AI do all mid-level engineer coding. I mean, Meta's like 70,000 people, right? That's terrible. But so basically, we're all going to come to a point of like, if you've always been a teacher, how do you be something else? If you've always been an engineer, how do you be something else? If you've always been, you know, blah, 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 how do you be something else? And this is like an interesting sort of philosophical point that this game is trying to address. I think it's going to be interesting. I think out of all these sort of cozy games that I looked at for the first few months of this year, this is probably the one that I think is going to give us the most surprises in terms of the way what you're doing, right, might break out of the mold of go to a farm, raise some animals, make money, get married, have kids, right? Like it might do something different. Fingers crossed, hopefully. There's not too much details online in terms of trailers, in terms of information, of pricing, of extra DLC content, what's going to happen. We don't know that much, even though the game's coming out in, um, quite soon. So we'll have to see. And that's it from me. All right, run two, gentlemen. Adam, what tell us about another playtest since you're all about the games these days?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
not these
playtests are
days.
big. So apparently, Elden Ring has a multiplayer game coming out. It's called Night Rain. You've probably heard of it. If you haven't, then basically what's going on is you are back into the world. What's it called? The world between. I don't know. I haven't played Elden Ring. That's a different story for a different day. But you're back in the world of Elden Ring, and this time it is kind of a survival game meets battle royale in a sense. So basically, what's happening is you're in this world and you need to survive 3 nights. At the end of the third night or third day, then basically you're going to get a big boss is going to show up and you're going to have to defeat that boss. But along the way, you're going to be fighting a lot of kind of mini bosses. So what you're going to do is you're going to be exploring the world. The map is going to be ever shrinking. That's where the battle royale element kind of comes in. So the map is constantly shrinking, so you're kind of being sequestered into a certain part of the map. At the end of each day, a boss shows up, you defeat that boss, and from that boss, you'll be able to get runes and various other things, experience and whatnot, and you'll be able to use those to upgrade your character, level up, that sort of thing. And then, of course, you have to survive the next day, and so you're exploring around and seeing what you can find, and then going on and doing all that funness. But yeah, so if you can survive all 3 days, then you'll be getting lots of loot and whatnot, which you'll be able to apply to your character in the next run. However, unlike, say, Elden Ring, where you design your own character and build your own character, you are going to be using preset archetypes here. So you can level them up and whatnot, but you're not going to be designing your own character and like you were in Elden Ring. And actually, part of the game is unlocking the stories of these characters. So as you play through them, you'll be learning a little bit more about them. Who are they? Why are they here? That sort of thing. So that's fun. But anyway, the point is that they are doing another open beta kind of network test. So similar to Monster Hunter. However, this one actually, I'm not sure if this one is an open beta. This one's probably a closed beta, but you can register it for right now. So you can go to their website and the registration, it opened on January 10th, but it is still currently open as of right now. I'm not sure how long it'll be open, but as of right now, it is open. And so you can go through and register on PS5, Xbox Series, or PC. And this beta test will take place sometime in February. It doesn't say exactly when yet, but it will be sometime in February. And yeah, there are some caveats though. For example, this one is only open up at set times on set days, I believe. So if you want to join, you can't just join at any time. Do check their schedule because it'll say like, okay, we're open from these hours to these hours, and then these hours to these hours, and then these hours to these hours. So do make sure you check your time because I did once sign up. I think it was the what do you call it? The Jump Force or something like that. It was like the Shonen Jump, all those characters, Naruto and Luffy and Vegeta and all those guys. And I signed up for that beta test, and every single time I tried to sign on, it was not alive. It was only live when I was at work. So check to make sure that the times are appropriate so that you can actually be there for it. Otherwise, it would kind of suck for somebody else who wants to get in and then didn't get in, but then does have the time. But yeah, and the other thing to note about this game is it is either it's co-op 3 player or it is solo. There is no duos. Apparently, some FromSoft looked into it and they were like, "Hey, should we do 1, 2, or 3 players?" And they said, "Okay, with 1 player, it's difficult, obviously, as it's supposed to be. With 3 players, we've tweaked the bosses so that they can be done with 3 players, but then apparently if you do it with 2 players, it just didn't work out very well. They felt that it just wasn't. It was tweaked well for 3, and it was obviously you could still do it solo, but when you try to do it 2 player, it just didn't work. So you do need 3 people. So make sure that you have 2 friends to play this game with because if you only have one, you're gonna need to either find a random or I don't know, or you're gonna have to play 2 solo games. But yeah, so if you are a fan of Elden Ring and you are looking for more, then check out Night Rain. Go to their website, register for the open beta, and or well, I guess it's not an open beta if you have to register for it. But yeah, go ahead and do that. So
This sounds like a short game then if it's only 3 days.
It is. I think they said it's supposed to be played in like sessions of maybe 40 minutes or so. So I think, yeah, it's not like a game that you just play like Elden Ring. It's more like you play and there's a session and then you beat it and then you would play a new session. So the bosses are randomized. Where you are on the map, I think, is randomized. Where the ring shrinks is randomized. So every time you play, it's going to be a different experience. So there is a lot of that kind of replay value. And doing it over and trying something new because you never know what you're going to be facing each time. But each individual loop, I think they said, is about 40, 45 minutes ish, maybe give or take. So it is designed for kind of controlled play sessions as opposed to just kind of open ended play as long as you want and then quit when you want.
What do you think, Antoine?
R- really not my type of game. Sorry, so yeah, not much to say about this. It's really not something I would play.
I mean, I like the idea of control play sessions because this is what like, I mean, I do with my brothers, and I do, when I play on Saturday, I'm playing Path of Exile 2 is like, my brothers and my friend Hans, when we play on the weekend, is like, oh, I see, it's almost the end of the session, right? So to me, 40 minutes is kind of short for a session, like to be playing with somebody else. Um, I
Then
don't
just
know,
play
but
two.
I mean,
Make it
yeah,
80
but I mean, two
minutes.
might be over a session for somebody. I think the typical session of doing something, right? You play tennis for an hour, you go watch TV for an hour. 40 minutes is just not like a typical segment amount of time, I think, anyway.
Yeah, let me double check that time. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was 40, but night rain
So,
time
so
for.
that's why I was just like 40 minutes is kind of like strange. It's not like just after half an hour and then before an hour, and then you can't start another session. I mean, for a middle-aged gamer, that would be a problem.
Yeah. Let's see. Night rain. How long are 3 days? How long are 3 days? I mean, it might just be. Let's see. 3 days. Each day is about 15 minutes.
Oh wow, so 45 minutes,
So
yeah.
about 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. I mean that's kind of cool, right? Like, I mean, there is like people like my older brother who like for him a gaming session is shorter, so than an hour. So yeah, that would work for those people. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, Antoine, final story for today.
Oh, lucky me. All right, so the next piece of news is brought to you by Domino's because they like roasting Ubisoft. So yes, this next segment, a bit of news and a wider conversation because I want to see you in the comments and hear what you have to say about this. But I'm gonna talk, of course, about Assassin's Creed Shadows, which already made quite a buzz. And we got the news, actually, I saw the news thanks to Domino's, that they're gonna delay their game for the second time. Originally, it was supposed to be November 2024, then February 25. Now it's gonna be released end of March 2025. And we had this beautiful ex from Domino's saying, "Do you want us to deliver it on time?" I found it very sarcastic and just on point. So I wanted to base the news on this. Let's be honest, it's only be delayed twice. That's not that bad, right? If they delay it again, yes, they're gonna start being abusing, but there's always Star Citizen around. So that's twice delaying 4 months, it's not that bad. So that's this. Also, piece of news since I'm talking about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, they are planning. Apparently, there are rumors, but strong rumors that Ubisoft is planning to release quite a few games for the Switch 2 when it releases. No idea when Switch 2 releases. Do we have an official date? I don't think so. I think they said fall or something. But in any case, they said, let me just see. Assassin's Creed Mirage is supposed to be going at the console launch window. Shadows is supposed to be there, and a few other games. Do I have them here? Of course I did, but it's not there. Yeah, so there would be Mario plus Rabbit Kingdom Battles, Sparks of Hope, Mario Rabbit Collection, Rainbow Six Siege, The Division. All this kind of Ubisoft game would go on the Switch too. So that's also something. And for the conversation part, so I'm gonna ask you guys what do you think, but Krian and I talked about controversies of 2024, and there's a saying that I completely agree with, saying that bad marketing is still marketing, right? And we are talking about Shadows. Shadows got tons of marketing, and as you know, not very good marketing, mainly centered around the big samurai guy called Yasuke. So, knowing that it has been delayed and it's on the news every month or two, right? Do you think that Assassin's Creed Shadow is gonna be, in French we call that a four? You know, do you think it's gonna be a massive flop for Ubisoft, that they're just not gonna sell this game at all? Or on the contrary, because there was so much marketing, everybody is aware about this game. Assassin's Creed is still a good franchise, you know, like there are lots of people likes it. So what do you think? Do you think people are gonna go with this Assassin's Creed and buy it a lot? Korean did a little poll on our channel, and I think I saw like at least 30%, 31% of the people who responded were actually waiting for this game, right? Saying either, oh no, it's delayed again, or, things like this. So, what do you guys think? I, to be honest, believe it's gonna be exactly like Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy. It's gonna work. No, it's not gonna make millions of sales. It's not a GTA 6, huh? Let's be honest, right? But it's not gonna be this announced disaster that everybody is predicting. Because at this stage, if you ask any gamers, they're gonna say Shadow, it's not gonna work. Everybody's criticizing it. Who's gonna buy this game? But it's a game which they get people talking, so I think it's not gonna be that bad. What do you guys think, to be honest?
Go ahead, Adam.
I don't think it's going to be as successful as past Assassin's Creed games, but I think Assassin's Creed's kind of been on a decline uh, for a while now. Mirage did not do as well as Valhalla, if I remember correctly. Um, and that's pretty much the only one that's released since Valhalla. Valhalla did really, really well, but I think there's been a bit of Assassin's Creed fatigue, and I think it's changed a lot so that it's kind of confusing its identity, where you're like, okay, we're are we for the original fans? Are we trying to get new fans? Are we trying to make it more assassiny and more like a streamlined thing? Are we trying to make it more open world? Okay, let's split it and make one open world game and one more Assassin's game. Um, so I mean that's not in a great place. Ubisoft recently reported that their stock is at the lowest it's been in a decade. They're currently in those buyout talks with Tencent, which I heard last. I read something the other day, and they were saying that those aren't looking too good. So it looks like a buyout might not happen, because maybe both sides aren't necessarily happy with what they're getting out of it. Um, so I mean, I'm sure it'll do well. I don't think it'll do as well as I don't think this will be peak Assassin's Creed. I think we've passed that point already. But I'm sure it'll do well. And yeah, like you said, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? Anytime you're in the news, people are hearing your name. So yeah, it's definitely people are definitely aware of it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, with the buyout talks, I mean, that to me was interesting, and right when the news, when the U.S. Department of Defense came out and saying, "Hey, Tencent is supplying the Chinese military. If you do business with them, you're in trouble," right? Um, so of course, right, if you're Ubisoft, right, you want to sell to America, you want to work with American companies, right, and you can't work with American companies if you're now owned by Tencent, who is working with the Chinese military. So I don't think that's going to happen. And we've seen a bunch of fallout from that. That's another topic, though. I mean, jumping back on the Assassin's Creed bandwagon, like I would have loved to play Shadows, but I mean, from a content creation perspective, right? I think for us, we're always looking for what is that next big thing. Like Adam was amazing to jump on the Stellar Blade
Stellar Blade.
bandwagon, and maybe not even jumped it. Like maybe he knew, maybe he didn't know. He can answer that later. That he knew it was going to be famous and really well received, and um, you know, months later, when I log into YouTube every day to upload the shorts, I'm like, hey, 129 views of people watched Celebrate. The story goes deeper. I can't remember what the title is, but you know what I'm talking about, right? but not like you see views, and then like every week at least you see a comment or two or three comments, or like, oh my god, I love this video, and when is Adam gonna make another video, blah blah blah, stuff like that, right? um so it's like, I would have loved to play Shadows. I mean, I love the Japanese name now. Is such. I've watched a few Japanese dramas with that name, and that's cool. I love to play the lady. Thought I was gonna play the guy. I'm like, nope. I'm just gonna play this lady because the name is cool. But I think, unfortunately, not. Then we also saw. I don't know if you guys saw this week. The lead. I mean, the game director for Mirage left Ubisoft this week. Um, which is unfortunate because I thought the project was cool. Like as much as I love the RPG versions of um, Assassin's Creed, like Odyssey to me was amazing. I love that game so much. Which is supposedly be the first version of the RPG version of the RPG way of Assassin's Creed. Um, but yeah, I remember all the way back to the original Assassin's stuff was completed, as the guys did do that. Wow. So I mean, I remember of like Assassin's Creed is going for both the Assassin and the RPG way, how that works in a type game. That's another story. I'm watching some of the videos, like the parkour videos, like fighting videos, and you can say, hey, this guy is level 26, he has this much health. When you're fighting him, you stab him once, and it does a little bit of damage. That's the RPG way. I haven't seen the Assassin way. The other guys have, but I mean, end of the day, yep, I think it'll do well. I think it's definitely not gonna be, yeah. Maybe it's fatigue. Maybe it's just there's so much other new stuff to play. I mean, looking at Marvel Rivals. I mean, maybe that's what we're going to talk about later as well with my story. Is just with the way the world's going, you want to play something that doesn't cost any money, and it's fun. And Marvel Rivals is it. Or, I mean, there's an arm's length of games that are free to play that you can have a choice from. All right, I mean, since we're in the discussive move, so let's move on to my final story, which is, was a Forbes article published 3 days ago. The main topic, which I thought was interesting, right, is the end of live service shooters. And my big hook to this was, like, maybe that's why there's not going to be a Destiny 3. So, as you know, like, I'm researching the story, Destiny is no longer, one of the top games streamed on Twitch. While maintaining a healthy player count on Steam, it's roughly about 20,000 players at the time of me, preparing for the video. It was last at 6 figures, 100,000 players, June 2024 of last year. I mean, the closest thing I could think of, like looking at Twitch, looking at online data for YouTube, looking at Facebook gaming, is Escape from Tarkov, which is not really a live service shooter. It's more of a survival shooting game thing. So there are no live service shooters with the exception of Once Human online being played, being supported at the moment. And even Once Human is at the same player numbers as Escape from Tarkov, roughly about 20,000 players. That is free to play. So a totally different business model. I was trying to find out what are their revenue numbers. I did see something for like about 6 million people have like registered the game Once Human on Steam. But again, 20,000 players, that means not many people are playing it. The reviews of Once Human are also like average. Some people really like it, some people don't. I'm not even sure about the future of that. Then we come down to Star Wars Outlaws, right? Star Wars Outlaws was the game made by the people who made Division 1 and Division 2. And supposedly a Division 3 is being made at the moment. But with looking at, like, if you are Massive Entertainment, which is the company who made The Division and Star Wars Outlaws, and given your performance on the last game and looking at the environment, do you want to make a live service shooter? And Adam had a good question. It's like, what is the definition of a live service shooter? So I'll let the guys talk about that. I think, yeah, the live service shooters are fun. Like, I love The Division because it was, and some people hated it. I remember when The Division 1 came out, they're like, hey, I have to empty out 3 magazines into an enemy to kill him. This is so not realistic, right? This is the Counter-Strike people. People want realism, and then the other people like me are like, man, I love it. It's like an action movie, right? Where it's not like I'm gonna go through the game and I'm gonna kill people one shot at a time. No, it's like gunfights and firefights, and it's exciting. It's grenades and technology, and that's why I love The Division. I mean, I'm alluding is sort of like why you play a game like Diablo or Path of Exile, right? Is to get cool gear, cool stuff, do builds and stuff for the people who are really serious about it. Um, I think to answer the question, is it the end of live solo shooters? My answer is yes. I think sometime this year there will be an announcement that the Division 3 has been cancelled because it is not an economically feasible game. I remember something, they spent $200 million making the Division 2. And we know gaming costs are just going up and up. And I don't think, especially because the Division 2 was published by Ubisoft and Division 3 will be published by Ubisoft. Now, given that Ubisoft is, leaking money, I don't think there's going to be another AAA live service shooter. We already know there's not going to be a Destiny 3, no Division. I don't think Once Human's going to be around in 2 years. So yeah, maybe this is the end of the genre. So whoever wants to go first, Adam's mic is already off. So let Adam. Adam, what do you think?
My mic is always on. I never turn it off.
Oh, sorry. I mean, your mic was on.
I don't use a mute button, which I probably should, but I don't. I'm too lazy for that. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on how you define a live service shooter. I mean, are you talking about looter shooters like, Destiny, Borderlands, that sort of thing?
Yeah, looter shooters.
I mean, if you're talking about looter shooters, then, that might be out. But I mean, if you're just talking about any kind of shooter that has live service elements, I mean, that would include Apex and um, as a Fortnite and all those. I don't think those are going anywhere anytime soon. So
So
I
no,
mean,
not those. Just the Destiny genre of
so like
games.
looter shooters then.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm like, when you say live service shooter, okay, well, it's a shooter and it's live service. That is a very broad category. The looter shooter is a little bit smaller. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're as big as they used to be, but I don't think we've had I feel like a lot of times people come up with good ideas and then squander them. I mean, look at Destiny 2. The original Destiny, they said this is what we're gonna do, and then when it came out, people are like, this is not what you guys told us you were gonna make, and then. And then they took years to build it back up. And then Destiny 2 came out, and people are like, okay, now they know how to do it. And then they just screwed it all up again and they've been trying to build it back up ever since. Um, Borderlands obviously isn't what it used to be. Borderlands 4 though is coming out soon, so who knows? We'll see. But yes, Borderlands 2 was probably the peak of Borderlands. Um, but I think it's just one of those things where, yeah, I mean, trends move on. People are now into like battle royales and that sort of thing. So I think maybe looter shooters aren't as popular. But would I say it's dead? I don't know. See, things are cyclical. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe somebody comes out with a looter shooter in 5 years or something like that, and it just takes off and it just boosts the whole thing and it just explodes again. Um, so I think it's just kind of a combination of fatigue and people not coming up with people are kind of chasing the dream rather than trying to create a new dream. But I mean, there's games like what is it? I guess it's a little bit different, but like Risk of Rain and stuff like that are people that like people like and they're popular. So um, I wouldn't say it's dead. I would just say it's going into a hibernation dormancy state, and I'm sure it'll come back later. But yeah, I just don't see that there's a lot of new games coming out in this genre right now. So right now it seems to be kind of the was it the hero arena kind of games like Marvel Rivals and Overwatch and those sort of things are kind of having with Marvel's Rivals. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of those, but they'll die off eventually too, and we'll come back around. So yeah,
Antoine?
Would you put Immortal of Avium in this category as a
That's single player
magic?
though.
Yes, true. Okay. Uh, well, yeah. I again, that's not really my type of games, so I wouldn't be the first customer for those. So yeah, I will follow Adam's advice, saying that yeah, it's not hot right now, but who knows? Maybe the trend will come back in a few years. But agree with you right now. I don't give a good Destiny to Borderlands 4, especially after the flop of the movie. It gives them visibility, but again, 2 was probably peak, and 3, I really enjoyed 3, right? And 4, even though I really love Borderlands franchise, I didn't play Tiny Tina Wonderland, yeah. And definitely I'm not gonna play the 4, so I think that will be the end, when Borderlands 4 officially flops, because that's what I think is gonna happen. Then you can say, yeah, it's, this genre is gonna hibernate for a few years, yeah.
On that hibernation note, quickly, guys, your 1 or 2 minute take of what you playing these days. Antoine, you first.
Oh, I'm playing Wukong. I'm playing Wukong. It's fantastic. I think I said it before, but it's exactly how I picture a toxic relationship. I love this game so much, and then it beat my ass all the time.
Aren't you? Did you finish the game already?
Yes, but that's a problem, right? Each when you finish the game, you have to start a new cycle because when you finish the game, that's not the real ending. The real ending is behind the boss, which is I wanted to say some rude word, but a kind of a pain to beat. And even though I'm closing on level 200, I just still can't beat the guy. And if you want, I think if you want to platinum the game, you have to play it 3 times. You have to do 3 cycles
Oh
to
my
have.
God, you're doing an Adam.
No, no, no. But I mean, like, if you want to platinum the game, right? And honestly, this game is worth doing it because it's really great. And even now that I play the game twice, I still realize I missed this boss in the first chapter because if I get this item in chapter 2, then I can come back here and unlock this location, which get me this secret boss that I completely missed. And then you find secrets after secrets, and it's really rewarding, right? Right? Even though it's not an open world, it's really linear, and yet you find stuff all the time. It's really made with love, this game. Except that this bloody last boss, hell, I've been on him for a week. And I know I'm bad, so yes, I get good. Yes, I know. I am trying to. I hate this boss. Erlang, if you are trying to, because the boss for the end is already very hard. The Sage Broken Shell is already quite a pain, but I beat him in 2 days. Erlang, phew, oh. What the hell did this guy so like? Yeah, you have a real ending. But if you want to see the real ending, you're gonna cry like tears of blood. Thank you very much. I hate you now. But otherwise, yeah, no, fantastic game. I just can't recommend it enough.
Adam, tell us about story mode.
So yeah, so I was doing kind of the Antoine thing, and I was facing up against bosses, and I literally spent like 2 hours against this one boss, and kind of got annoyed at the fact that every single time I ran into the room, it had to do an animation. I was like, can't we just start the fight? I don't have to see you scream at me every single time, you know. Um, but yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go into story mode on 9 souls, crank the enemy damage way down, and now it's a platformer, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm having a lot of fun. When I was playing it, and then I get to later bosses, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, there was no way that I was going to be playing this game in any decent amount of time, had I played it the way it was supposed to be played. Um, you just have to like nail everything almost perfectly. Like enemies can kill you in 3 shots, and a lot of times they'll have attacks that attack twice in a row, and if you whiff the first shot, then they'll automatically get into the second one. Um, and yeah, so I was like, I'm so glad I put it into story mode because I was not. It was one of those things where, like, could I beat it? Yeah. Would it take me a really long time? Yeah. Would I enjoy my time with it? No. I would not have fun with that game. I would not. I would not like it at all. And then when I finally beat it, because I don't know, I'm one of those people that like I play like Bloodborne or something like that. And if I'm really struggling with a boss, when I beat the boss, it's not like a yeah, I finally beat him. I'm like a oh my effing god, thank God that's finally over. Oh, I never want to do that again. Like it's literally this face where I'm just like, no. Like I'm done with you. Okay, moving on. And I do not have that sense of satisfaction that I've beaten a boss. I have a sense of like it's like for me, it's like okay, you know, your parents say you need to clean the bathroom, and then when you get a sen you know, when you've been cleaning the bathroom for like 2 hours, and they're like, no, it's not good enough, do it again, and you clean it again, and then they're like, no, it's still not good enough, and you clean it a third time. At the end, do you feel like, yeah, I finally cleaned the bathroom, or you're like, oh my God, thank God that's over. That's how I feel. And so like it becomes a chore. So I don't enjoy it. That's just my personality. I know a lot of people do, but my personality, I just don't enjoy that kind of thing. So I cranked the difficulty down. I'm enjoying it a lot more now. Now it's a platformer. I'm enjoying it a lot as a platformer. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the story. Um, but I do kind of want to end it because I do really want to play Freedom Wars because I have played Freedom Wars before, and I really, really, really want to play the Freedom Wars remaster, especially because Sin Duality is coming out soon, and I'm like, oh, do I want to be juggling 2 games? Not really, but there's zero chance I finish Freedom Wars before Sin Duality comes out. But I might actually end up juggling those two games and do like Sin Duality as a online thing and a Freedom Wars as an offline thing. But I am enjoying it now that it's a platformer. Which going through some of these platforming puzzles, I'm like, oh man, Korean would hate this game. He does not like platformers. Because you were saying like, oh yeah, I was thinking about getting it, and I was like, you can crank it down so the enemies do 1% damage and you do 1,000% damage or something like that. Um, so you can make it super easy in that sense, but the platforming is always going to be platforming. And that part is like, okay, so I have to do a dash and then jump and then hit and then do a block off this thing to bounce off that, which is going to close this wall, and then do another dash and another jump without, so I have to do this like back and forth all the way to the top without touching ground the whole time. And for me, that's fun. I enjoy that kind of puzzle. So I am really enjoying that, but I don't think you would.
Not at all. Last minute thing. So next week, right? There will be no live show. Unfortunately, Adam is occupied. It is almost Chinese New Year
So
here, so
sorry, I
he
have to work.
has. Yes, he has to work, as do other teachers. Especially before Chinese New Year, it has like a quote unquote winter break this side of the world. So that being said, there still will be a video that I will release later on Tuesday evening my time, so Tuesday morning Canadian time. So keep an eye out for that. It will be Antoine and myself, and hopefully Antoine will be uh, okay next week, as tired as he looks today. And then that's it for today. So see us next week. And um, as for a video on Chinese New Year, we'll have to talk to Adam to see if he has a schedule for Tuesday. Um, but we'll see. But for sure, next week, stay tuned for the edited video next week, Tuesday morning. And 6 stories, 3 for me, 3 for Antoine. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.